the North End. This is the North End.
Hi everyone, and welcome to my 5 things we learned from the Manchester City versus Liverpool epic showdown at the Etihad yesterday. Number 1, this is going to the wire. So we've seen previous of this from these two teams in 2018 to 2019. They're just going to keep winning. Liverpool actually play first next time in what is usually a heated rivalry against Manchester United. Manchester City play the day later. So, of course, the two teams play each other in the FA Cup on Saturday as well. But there's nothing showing here that these two teams are going to stop winning. They're just going to keep going and piling on the points. Do I think both teams is going to win every game? No, I don't. I actually think that there's a couple of twists and turns in there. So I do still think Liverpool are alive. But the big takeaway is, even if you look at yesterday, even if you look at the intensity of yesterday, these two teams are not going to put too many feet wrong. And this is going to go to the wire. So brace yourselves. There's another 6 weeks or so of this and enjoy it, because this one is going possibly right to the last day of the season. Number 2, Manchester City are still favourites. Obviously, context is really important in this. If we had been 4 points clear, so if Manchester City hadn't dropped a couple of the games that they had previously, and yesterday we were 4 points behind them and we won yesterday, and we're now 1 point behind them, everybody would be getting so excited about Liverpool's performance and Liverpool's title chances. Well, it's exactly the same. I know momentum's important and we still have momentum, but Manchester City would have still had the same games left. Liverpool would have still had the same games left. So the fact that we've actually done the chasing before yesterday and weren't able to make up any more ground yesterday shouldn't take away from the fact that Liverpool have done incredible and are still major contenders. However, this point is just to say we are not chasing any chumps or teams that haven't done this before, or teams who are slacking or anything like that. Make no mistake about it, with 1 point advantage and arguably on paper the easier schedule, Manchester City are the clear title favourites. That would have flipped yesterday had Liverpool won. I think points in the bag at this point and any advantage is huge. But what we learned yesterday is Manchester City are still the title favourites for this Premier League title. It's theirs to lose. Number 3, Liverpool didn't show up in the first half, and I don't want to be too harsh on my team. I love this team. I love these players. I love this manager. But I was disappointed in our first half performance, and not necessarily the quality side. I felt like Manchester City can do that to anyone, particularly at home. I feel like this game would have been so different if it had been at Anfield with the momentum of the two things happening, or even if it was behind closed doors. Because obviously, statistically, there was a lot more away performances and away wins while fans weren't in the stadium. But I was a little bit disappointed with a team that's been to Champions League finals and won Champions League finals and been in title races and won titles. I thought the first half performance of some of our key players was not to the standard that we would expect. Were they still at a high standard? Yeah, but not to the level that they've been playing for the last few months. When I make that point that Liverpool didn't show up in the first half, I do give them a lot of credit for what they did in the second half. And, to be behind twice and to come back shows a lot of character and a lot of mentality. So I don't want to say we were weak mentally by not showing up in the first half, but there were some key performances that I was not particularly enamored with. And hopefully we've got those out of ourselves, and, we can still keep pushing on for glory this season with that the way it is. Number 4, I think yesterday once again proved, undoubtedly, by the way, that this is an all-time rivalry in the Premier League. I'm not saying it's the rivalry. I know a lot of people got into their feelings this week, a lot of weird tweets and just hoopla about stuff that we can never prove. Um, Look, some of these comparisons with the past are just irrelevant and pointless. And I know they're a bit of fun. And, the news cycle is so short now. And also attention just gets drawn onto stuff. And, Jamie Carragher, who made the initial statement about this being the biggest rivalry as well, he's also in the business of like making news and making people talk about it. And I'm still talking about it. But like, just some of the stuff I read last week about how this isn't an all-time rivalry. It is, and it's the biggest, it's the best footballing rivalry that I've seen in my long time watching football. Doesn't mean it's the biggest rivalry. I'm not saying it's the rivalry, because things are different. I was very invested as a non-Man United or Arsenal fan in that challenge. Of course, the way Wenger came about, the way it was like a new modern European system versus a traditional British system that Fergie had. Like, I get all that. I get the tensions. I get the, Pizzagate and all the fights and the arguments. Amazing, great drama, great TV, all of it. Never want to take away from it. In terms of like pure footballing ability, I don't personally think we've seen anything like this in the Premier League. I think that the fact that we've got literally the two best coaches in the world at the same time, not sure that that's happened before. Maybe a bit later with Fergie and Mourinho, maybe, although there were other coaches around. But the fact is, Man United and Arsenal were not both consistently getting to Champions League finals. They weren't breaking 90 plus points. So yeah, I'm not saying that this rivalry is bigger than that one or another one. But what I am saying is that we found out again and saw again yesterday firsthand that this is an all-time Premier League rivalry. You can get all in your feelings about it. You can start to like bring history into it, which is really funny because, like, firstly, Liverpool were accused of being history merchants when we weren't winning. And now it feels like people want to start to draw to history to try and pull us down or pull Man City down. Really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the whole world was watching yesterday. The whole of England and the Premier League was watching yesterday. We are the two best teams. This is an all-time rivalry. And yesterday wasn't necessarily the showpiece game that we've had before from these teams, but just the quality. And, other analysts made this point as well. The actual bravery towards the end of how both teams tried to win it and where fullbacks were playing and just like the level of commitment to actually attack and win the game. You really need to give your head a shake if you think that you've seen stuff like this before, because you haven't. And, biases all exist. I'm biased towards Liverpool. I get it, sure. But like, you ain't seen stuff like this before, not to this standard and not to this quality and not to this consistency. So hats off for both Liverpool and for Manchester City for keeping us entertained. And that leads me to this point as well. You know what? It's time for other teams to get involved. Now, I can say this as a Liverpool fan because, you know what, somewhere along the line, we do need a help in hand. But enough now of teams laying down against Manchester City. And arguably people might say that against us, about us. I'm biased, so I feel like people step up their game against Liverpool and then we beat them anyway. But you know what? No, maybe they don't. For the emphasis of this point, what I'm going to say is start to get involved in the title race. You know what? Be involved, be an active member. And I'm talking to all the other teams, all the other fans. Stop being passengers. Everyone wants to have a really big opinion about where somebody ranks in the hallows of time. And, everyone wants to get all emotional about, where Van Dijk is or like where, I don't know, Cancelo is in terms of like fullbacks. You know what? Instead of just like talking about it and looking in from the outside, play Liverpool, play Manchester City, and like do something. Take points off us, take points off either of us, make the title race even more interesting, because it's been really funny to watch. And I know this is all modern stuff and social media, but like people get into their feelings about a lot of stuff, but then their own team just seems to lay down and roll over to some of these like bigger teams as well. So like, you know what? that's one of the things. I don't know if that's the thing we learned yesterday, but it is just another point that I wanted to raise as well. I just think it's time for people to stop just talking, and that includes Liverpool and Man City, but it also includes the half a dozen or so teams that each of us are now going to play as well, because you get to be a part of this. You get to be a part of the history. I'm sure your fans are talking. I'm sure your fans have got a lot of opinions about who's all-time this and who's all-time that. You know what? Maybe it's time to actually take an active part of deciding where this title destiny goes, instead of just like participating from the outside and being really emotional about things. So yeah, that's how I feel. Massive credit to both teams. There's been a lot of like, I wish this rivalry had more needle. I don't really have any more needle right now today. I'm exhausted from yesterday. I watched the game first, then I watched a lot of it again. I've seen a lot of analysis. I've seen a lot of highlights. I've listened to podcasts. I'm tired from yesterday. Like, I feel like it was so grueling. We got to do it all again next Saturday. And yeah, I can't really separate the two teams at the moment, just like they can't, just like Klopp and Guardiola can't, just like that points haul from the last couple of years can't. I just feel the quality is so high, the standard is so high. And you know what, I would love an international break now, just now, even though I've said in previous times, oh, I don't like international breaks and stuff. I'm tired, and we got to go all again on Wednesday in the Champions League, both teams. But this is going to be an exhausting few weeks because emotions are high, intensity is high. My stomach doesn't need how it felt before yesterday, during yesterday, even after yesterday. There's moments where it felt like a defeat. There's moments where it felt like a win. It's just everything that it takes at the moment to be in this title race is phenomenal, but also grueling at the same time. So anyway, thanks for taking some time with me today. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe. There's more of this coming. There's games coming thick and fast. And thanks for your time today. Peace.
This is the North End.